Hi, I'm really excited to do this flash Astro Toe reading for you. So, in toe reading, your right foot is the way that you present to the outside world, it's your experience in the outside world, how you move through the world, it's the external things. And your left foot is your internal world, the way that you communicate with yourself, your connection with source, all the things that are internal. And then each of your toes has an energy. So on your left foot, your big toe is your spirit path toe, and your right foot is your life path toe. Your second toes on both feet are your communication and expression toes. Third toes are action toes. Fourth toes are relationship toes. And fifth toes are trust and prosperity toes. And so in a flash reading, I'm just taking the top couple of messages from your toes and sharing those with you. And we'll also use your astrology chart, your natal chart, the picture of the sky at the moment that you were born. And so when we look at your sun, which is in Gemini, beautiful Gemini, highly communicative, and we see that in the toes here. Your second toes are almost as long or as long as your big toes. And so that indicates that communication is really important to you, and expression, communication, expression. So making sure that you are communicating the words that you need to say. You're probably a verbal processor, or you write things out. So very important that you have your people that you can talk to, process things with, and communicate with. And it's important in a relationship that they are also communicating with you. Your Gemini is also has Mercury, excuse me, your Venus is also in Gemini. And so that intellectual connection is very, very important to you. And it needs to be coupled with an ability to communicate. You need your partner to be able to communicate with you. If they don't, it's not going to work for you. So communication, super important. You are 100% a leader. You see this here with your the space down here at the bottom between your second and first toes. That's what I call the queen's toe. It is the place where you show up as a leader. Now, when we look at your life path and your spirit path toes here, both of those toes are trending in leaning towards the little toes. So that indicates some lack of alignment in your spirit path and in your life path. Now, this could be a lot because you just, as of today, you are spot on in your Chiron return. So Chiron is here. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is an asteroid, and Chiron lets us know what is our deepest wound. That's actually our superpower. You can watch other videos here, or we can talk to hear the story about Chiron, the wounded healer. But Chiron shows us where is our deepest wound that is actually our superpower, making our mess our message. When Chiron is in Aries, and it is generational, so everybody born between about 1968 through 1972 has this, even a little bit beyond that, but has their wound in Chiron. And I'm sorry, has their Chiron wound in Aries. And that is about the I am. Aries is about I am. So this question of, who am I? Where do I fit in this world? These are questions that we come up with. My Chiron is also in Aries. In fact, Gen X's wound is in Aries. And when you think about the implications of that, Gen X is the forgotten generation. Gen X we're the latchkey kids. Gen X are the kids where we kind of just raised ourselves. Gen X are the kids called the forgotten generation. Isn't that amazing that this generational wound in Chiron shows up in all of these cultural aspects about Gen X? So When Chiron, it takes 50 years to go all the way around the zodiac. So when you were born, Chiron was here at 13 degrees Aries. It took 50 years for Chiron to come back around and hit you here. When Chiron shows up, and you've been feeling this for about the last 12 to 18 months, and it will continue to be in orb for another few months before it moves off of around your birthday is when Chiron is not really going to be too much in orb anymore, and you're going to have passed that midlife transit. But it makes us question a lot of things. It's like if it was a wound, and having your Chiron return is when it peels off the scab so that you can heal at a deeper level. So I would invite you to just look over the last 12 to 18 months and see how has your wound been revealed so that you can show up in a more healed way. That spotlight on your wounds is simply to allow deeper healing. How has this wound become your superpower? How do you help people know who they are? That's what people who have their wound in Aries do. People that turn that wound into a superpower is they help other people, because we know what it feels like to not be seen, to be forgotten, to feel abandoned, to experience a lack of self-esteem and not knowing oneself. And so because we know that, we can have compassion and share this with others so that they don't feel the same way. We're highly motivated to do that. And so in this Chiron return, consider that. That has to do with your life path and your spirit path. Spiritual ritual is very important for you. Having a spiritual practice, a spiritual daily practice is very important for you. And that's going to help this toe become more aligned. You can see in the nails, they're really pointing towards the little toe. And so in this Chiron return that you're in, you have the perfect opportunity with the cosmic powers at your back to really step into your spiritual power at a deeper level and consider, what are you doing in your life path? It's time for some things to change in your life path. It would be a beautiful opportunity for you to think about what is ready to be evolved in your life path, in your career path. What is it time to evolve? Now, you may want to know what the biggest benefit to this is, and the benefits are plentiful. I know you're super into personal transformation and development, so that right there. But here is one of the things that's going to happen as your life and spirit path get more aligned. This space right here between your first and second toe is your channel of intuition. So as those toes track more straight, because you are changing the energy around your spirit path and your life path, it's going to open up your intuition in such an incredibly powerful way. You're already super intuitive. Imagine opening this channel of intuition up for even deeper, I would say significantly deeper intuition. Absolutely amazing. So that is one of the first messages that I have, is just opening up that channel of intuition by aligning your life path and spirit path. This is going to be through exploration, through spiritual ritual, including meditation, and by communicating with people, with your allies. Not all of your friends are your allies, with your allies, about your ideas, about your aspirations, and just bouncing ideas back and forth. Okay, the other major message I'm getting from your toes is, if we look at your little toes here, these are your relationship toes, and both of them have some blocked energy in them. So I would really recommend taking and massaging those toes to release the energy, to release the energy. That's one other thing that you can do with these big toes is by gently nudging these nails. So stabilizing here and then gently pushing here at the top to alignment with the intent of inviting the energy to move in a different way, inviting the energy to move in a more aligned way. Asking questions as you're doing it. What is my spirit path? Who do I have in my life now, and who is coming to me in my soul family to help me get more aligned in these paths? So back to just gently massaging these relationship toes. And when I yawn or sneeze or have some other kind of energetic release, it's because I'm tapped into your energy, and your energy is sighing in relief that these things are being mentioned and being seen and acknowledged in a different way of awareness than they have been before. And so that yawn lets me know that just these relationship toes, massaging on these relationship toes is very, very important for you and will open up your relationship with self so that you have more clarity and pay attention to your self-talk. I know you're super aware of your mindset. Just listen to your self-talk and see what kinds of things might be hiding in there. I know you've done a lot of work on that. There's still some more things that are hiding in there. And then on this is your relationship with others. And you've got a callus here. And so at some level, you are protecting yourself from other people. You are protecting yourself from getting hurt and not fully opening yourself up. Now, you've got this Aries moon that is right next to your Chiron. So Aries is very passionate. Aries is very driven, very straightforward. And this really has to do with this wound. Your moon signifies your non-negotiable needs. You have a high need to have movement, to have passion, to be first, to be a trailblazer. These are non-negotiable needs for you. So honor that in yourself, these non-negotiable needs to do this. And one of the things that I see all the time in the personal development group, and something that I've dealt with myself, is that we tend to gaslight ourselves. We know when we're judging. And so then we start to question our judgment instead of acknowledging that we just made a judgment and then being aware of that and diving deeper into that. So for example, a judgment about a person that just comes to you, and it's might be your intuition letting you know that that person is not for you. And instead we start to gaslight ourselves by saying, oh, I don't want to judge people, and that's a judgy thought, and I'm putting that aside. And so by doing that, we gaslight our own intuition. And so I think that more than ever in the personal development world, we need to understand what is our intuition and what is judgment. We have largely moved past judgment. Judgment is what we do. Everyone judges. It's what you do with that judgment that matters. So just really paying attention to that. That just came pretty strongly to me when I was talking about this need for Aries to be a trailblazer. You are 100% a trailblazer in so many of the things that you do. And Aries can be very fiery, very passionate, but you've got Chiron here that is also saying, hey, like kind of picking at that wound a little bit. And so opening up yourself here in relationships. Also with your Gemini, Venus here, that can be a little bit of mutable energy in Venus, and you've probably gotten criticized for that. Whether it was by yourself or by others, this fickleness, if you will. Fickle would be the kind of the shadow side of the mutable energy or the changeable energy. Embrace that about yourself. You're so smart. You're usually just miles ahead of everybody else in the room because you've got that quick Gemini mind. And so being patient with others, being patient with yourself, and realizing that you've got some blocks that are preventing you from experiencing the kind of relationships that you want. Trust your intuition. Okay, you're not judging someone. Last note here are these little toes. These are your prosperity and trust toes. Okay, they have calluses on them and they're really leaning into this relationship toe. So I would just invite you to consider what relationships. No. The question is, when it comes to your prosperity, what do relationships have to do with that? And I'd invite you to journal about that. Okay, that's what we have for this flash reading. We can always talk more about this when we get together. Thank you for the opportunity to read your toes.